what they're going for, isn't it? And what they've done with that name is nothing short of incredible. Kireki joining them as a new player for this Final 2 Dread up against regional favorites and Titans 5 Fears.
Yeah, they find themselves in the... Yep, let's do it. Let's play some finals. The Grand Major 26 Online Cycle 2 finale for EMEA. We're going in now with Random Tongues 5 Fears to see who's going to make it out of this map 1 in this best of 3. And Diane, this is the map that I think least confident on who's going to take this one, because this map is kind of the wild card of the 3.
Listen, even earlier in the 3v3, the odds were against Random Tongues and they still prevailed. And this time, it's the exact same votes. You guys don't believe in the greatness of Roma here, apparently. But listen, he's just going to have to prove it to you guys. This player is an absolute machine, especially with the support from his other 2 team. Is absolute menace of a team that we have right here. But, of course, that world needs to be plugged first in order for there to be a lot of crazy stuff to be happening. We can see a few rotation already happening, but 5 Fears, they got themselves a cheeky little gateway up above A. So even if there is a rotation coming along, they're going to have to be a bit quicker here now, because as we can see, the gateway has timed out. So now they're going to have to walk on foot, while Random Tongues, they're just going to have to close that distance. Again, very slow game so far, Dread.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be continuing to go that way, because this is coming down to everything. This is the finals final, the final of the finals in the finals of TGM Online Cycle 2 2026. There is so much going on right now, and, you know, it's going to be really slow, I think, especially for this first box. It's going to come down to who's going to try to get this first pick. We got these guys... Random Tongues, they're trying to move this with Invis, trying to cross this gap, but all of 5 Fears, they are on this top floor already, knowing that they're coming in, waiting for them to cross. We've got a Pyro Nade. Actually, I think that might have been Orange Barrel that was pre-placed up there on that staircase, trying to stop them from going in. And look at Roma, so far away from his team, trying to find where he knows that Treason is going to be trying to take an off angle here, and I think he's trying to look for him to see if he can get that pick to open this up. Kireki taking a little bit of damage, though, forced to drop down and back up just a little bit, and there it is. Dirani finding Treason, getting that first pick, and now this is where it's going to open up. In Carnifex going down to grab that box. He was going to try to throw it away, I believe, but he gets stopped by Dirani again, who gets a double kill. And now it's only Nagos left alive. He's going to have to get out of there and back out. He doesn't want to wipe and make the res timers reset and go a little bit longer, but that's going to be the plug finally in favor of Random Tongues.
Craig is still there. A good start for Random Tongues. There we go. The coins are now being used. Nagos has got himself diffused out of the situation, but because they have a lot of information here, a lot of views as well, the Casher is in a great position to be manipulated, played around. It is a heavy medium light against a heavy light, so they know that there's going to be defibs. There's going to be that support from Kireki onto Dainare. It's going to be so much more difficult to work with. And Roma, again, a menace. Treason really needs to make sure that he finds that first kill onto Roma. He needs to be annihilated first if they want to have a success here.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, because Treason is normally one that's going to be taking those crazy off angles like he is right now with that Invis LH1. Trying to get an angle if he can. Gets a little bit of damage off, but that dome shield is going to block some of it as they end up going through. Nagos showing some trigger discipline with that RPG, but they end up pushing out of that dome shield. RPG ends up going out, gets some pretty big damage, but it's going to drop there, and it's going to be immediately healed up. And now we're just back to stage 1 here as everybody's full HP. 5 Fears, they are actually going to go for a little steal here, but they're going to back up immediately and hop off that as Random Tongues have pushed in. But there goes Treason with huge damage from that Revo and some team fire from Durrani, and then Carnifex is going to go down as well, and Nagos follows right after. And that's going to be the first box, Dianic, in favor of Random Tongues.
If I'm not wrong right there, we saw another 3-piece masterclass from Roma. He definitely got the last one. I'm not so sure about the first one, but that winch even there was absolutely brutal. Again, they played it slow. They went to the cash out. They knew they had the upper hand, and especially the damage coming in from Roma, forcing Treason and Carnifex to fall back a little bit, leaving Nagels in a 1v3 scenario onto that cash out box wasn't the right play. But unfortunately, with a heavy light, the lights need to stay alive. If they're picked out early and already have so much damage upon them, they need to reset, and that gives a great opening pick for the side of Random Tongues. But the second box is right here, and we know, and we've already seen it in the 3v3 earlier around against these two teams. There's always a comeback possibility. Look at that angle. Treason doing a little bit of chip damage, but not quite enough yet for a kill. And from the side of Random Tongues, they're gonna play the cash outs, and they're gonna have to wait, because luckily they're very close to each other, meaning rotating to one another is gonna be so much more easier than the one that 5 Fears had to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And now 5 Fears coming off of the back foot here. They're going to have to get this plug, and it's going to be pretty tough because Random Tongues can just sit there and delay this as long as they possibly can, but they might be a little bit too slow to stop it. I think Carnifex and Treason having that double light movement are going to be a little bit quicker here, and they are going to get that plug, but Random Tongues are pretty close, and they're going to be making their way over. That gateway is going to go through, but Nagos was ready there to stop it with a big RPG coming through the end of that. Kireki is going to go down, and now Durrani is stuck on the other side of that gateway by himself. They're going to go through it. They're going to chase him down. Roma did make it through as well, but he's going to have to run around. Durrani using that using that dome shield and the barricade, trying to live, doing a little bit of shenanigans on the zip line there, trying to stay alive as long as he can, but I fear he might just be... No way! I thought he was going to just be delaying his death, but he was able to stop that winch and get rid of the zip line at the last second, and somehow stays alive there. And look at Roma getting a kill of his own on a Carnifex. Kireki has now coined in, Dianic.
Is running away for his life. Roma put his team in a great position. Look at it. Even the gateway is going to give them so much more time to really close that distance. That was an absolutely huge overpick. Of course, they know they're going to have to reset off of this. They can't fully commit. Every team is now back up on their 3 piece of players. But that just means it's going to be so much more intense at this moment. There is the winch. Beautiful. Naga's going to find that first kill. But look at these lads and looking for the kills. Treason finds the next one all up to Kireki. And a 1v3 scenario. He's being dived by 2 players, trying to keep them a bit alive.
They're keeping him alive.
Around. They didn't want to kill him. They're trying to take everything away. Look at him, even making sure he can't run away. But in the end, Carnifex will end his suffering. And at this time of point, we can say the second cash out is going to be secured by 5 Fears. What a play. That winch, Nagos landed the winning play.
Yeah, and that was such a huge play by 5 Fears there, and I think we're going to be coming down to the wire here, at least in this map 1 of this best of 3. We're going to be coming down to a tiebreaker box, and this is going to be really huge. I mean, obviously, either team wants to win this map 1 because it's going to put them in a huge advantage coming in for this rest of this best of 3, but this is going to be a tough one, especially now that some of these points on Fengwei are so hard to fight into. It's going to be really, really important for one of these teams to be able to get that plug. As we've seen, I think both teams now that have gotten the plug, I think have won the box at this point, and I think that's going to continue to be the case. So the teams now are just going to be posturing up here, ready to fight over this vault. Got a little bit of a gate, or a little bit of a goo pad pre-set up while they're waiting for 5 Fears to kind of come in. Not really committing to go for the tap just yet because they don't want to give away their positions. Because remember, guys, taps in the final round do not give you extra money. So there's no reason to really focus on that and go for it first. But 5 Fears did get that tap. Nagos was seen out a little bit. He is going to eat an RPG to the chin, but he's going to get healed right back up a little bit. But Kireki with some Revo shots to Carnifex is going to find that pick, and that's the pick that they wanted. That box is going to get sent over towards that point now, and Random Tongues, Dianic, they're going to be the ones to plug it.
Looking to plug this one from the side of 5 Fears. They need to make sure that they get themselves a bit of a reset time, but look at this.
What?
Random Tongues, they didn't want to plug it right there. They're going to go all the way to the other cash out on the other side of the map. They don't want to really give them that advantage. Also, mind you, that box is quite in the open, so distance fights is going to be so much more available. But 5 Fears, that's exactly what they want, especially when they have 2 lights who are easier to rotate around. On the side of Random Tongues, they want to bring this into close corners. Because of that medium, because of the defibs, they're going to be much more viable. So all of a sudden, listen, you're going to have to wait here Oh, they want to stagger out here 5-phase a little bit. The second they get the swipe on the 5-phase, they have a great chance to rotate around to both of the cash out. This is a very small play here from Random Tongues to face the fight and not to go for the cash out. The first team who wipes here is going to have... The opponent team is going to have a great chance of that plug. Beautiful winch by Naga. Second one as well. Oh no. He got himself that death though. Kareki's the last man standing in a 1v3. Gets RPG'd and now they're running the box back to their advantage point.
Yeah, and you know, I agree with you. I think that is a really good call for Random Tongues to go in. You make a good point about that medium there, wanting to have a little bit more of a close quarters battle. I think... You know, maybe that's why I'm a pro yapper and not a pro player, because I think it could have gone either way. They did have that pick, and they did have the advantage in the fight, but they were playing it safe, just like you said. But Five Fears were able to win the next battle that pursued right after that, and they are going to get this plug now, and they're going to be able to set up here. And Carnifex setting up right on top of that point on that little mini pagoda there, getting some goo up on there, kind of hiding on top of that, and Random Tongues, they're coming in hot. They're coming in fast. Already Dome Shield used, surprisingly, by Durani. Not going to find any value off of it. And we are going to get a winch from Nagos going through. They're going to take out Kareki, which is a huge pick for Five Fears here. And here comes another another RPG from Nagos there with some big shots by Treason to finish off the team fight on Roma. Five Fears, they're going to hold on to this one for a little bit longer.
Luckily for the side of Random Tongues, this was a quite early on fight, a quite quick wipe as well, meaning they're gonna have another chance at this cash out. But that just showcased, right? The second Kareki is gone, it's gonna make it so much more difficult. At the end there, we saw Roma, by the way, a perfect flip nearly on Treason there. If he would have just gotten that first hit headshot, Treason could have been gone and that could have flipped to the other opponent. Roma, a very dangerous player, something that Treason Carnifex not to be underestimated on, but they're playing this very smartly. And this is what I was talking about. Because it's very open, Carnifex and Treason have so much more advantage coming into the fight, especially also because of their guns. And Kareki is a player, he really benefits of those close corners. Also Roma, given that their guns, they need close corner fights. This cash out makes it so difficult to actually utilize the surroundings for them. But there is the winch, beautiful. It's going to be Nagos now in a 1v2. And he gets both of them. He gets all three of them. Nagos, what a machine.
Wow. Nagos going crazy at the end there. That's why they call him Nagoat. And that is Five Fears going to be taking map 1 of this best of 3. And wow, Dianic, this is... I still think we're going to be going all the way, as we just saw it there, coming down to the wire on that one. Absolutely insane.
I'm speechless, Dread. I'm actually speechless. I wasn't aware of the Nagot. I'm aware and fully made aware of the Nagot as for right now, but what an insane play. Every single cash out fought to the bitter end. Every single time, so close for it to be swapped. At the end there, that was the actual real domination coming in from 5-phase, and you're gonna have to give credits where credits are due. Nagos, he really stepped up to play for his team and make his team the winning team in that first map of this best of 3. It's not over yet, and already the first map was quite spicy. Fangway City maybe turning out to not be as profitable for the side of Random Tongues as hoped. Dread, I'm speechless.
Yeah. I'm going to be speechless after this one. Look at this Nagos here. He landed absolutely everything here in the middle of his dome shield as well. He was able to drop that dome shield, land the winch, and land every shot, flicking to the third target there, which was brought low by the help of his team. But wow, Nagos 7-2 on the heavy SA-12 with where that specific team wants it to be plugged, Dianic. And I think we're going to be seeing the same thing coming out of this game.
Listen, Bernal will be our second destination, Dread. It might all end here. It might go all the way to the distance. And Random Tongues, they're gonna have to prove themselves. And here again, they've already done it on Bernal once. So 5FaZe, I do think they have a few things to fear about. Random Tanks not to be underestimated. But here again, distance is something that they're really good at. And we can see already them trying to build up that distance. You see how far they play away from each other. Look at Nago's position. Look at Treason's position. And look at Counterfact's position. They're basically all over the map where you can see Random Tanks are really more together. Besides maybe Roma because he's that light. He has also that long distance weapon. He's trying to, you know, pick off a little bit, fall into that same direction that 5FaZe is doing. But they're a lot more closer because of that medium.
Yeah, exactly. And they do a really good job playing around that medium as well, too. You could tell that they're very comfortable with that team comp. We were talking about that a little bit earlier. Kireki and Durrani play so well together as a heavy medium duo. Kireki so fast at getting those defib when he needs them. But look at that. Treason spotting Roma at the very last second there. And the decreased damage on the quick melee, he wasn't able to kill the sonar in one melee. He just knocked it over instead. But Nagos, I don't know what happened there. I think it might have been a self RPG. I'm not sure what happened there. We're going to slow down just a little bit. I think we might have had a little bit of an unfortunate DC come through.
It might be... It was a disconnect. Look at the death timer. It's not going down. Great spot right there. We're just going to have to slow this down a bit. Maybe the question is if there's going to have to be a rehost completely. Nagos is unable to reconnect. And we're just quickly gonna be... Thank you so much, Jerry. As already mentioned, there was a little bit of a rehost needed here because Nagos couldn't quite reconnect here. But we're back into the game. All things were set to 0. And we've just had a cheeky little talk. I fully agree with Jerry here. No need to panic. It's just was the first match. I definitely think they're still going to go the distance. The medium has already worked out multiple times in their favor. I think just gotta, again, the placements of the map may have not just worked in their favor.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I also think if not more so now that medium actually works a little bit better on Bernal just because it's a little bit of a smaller map. It's a little bit more horizontal. You know, the advantage of having the two lights in the movement isn't as apparent on this map. So we'll see how it ends up playing out, but Random Tongues definitely still in this and have a lot of fight ahead of them as well with a huge winch coming through from Nagos, but Durrani is going to get that dome shield down as well. Here comes a glitch nade coming through, but Roma is able to pick Carnifex as he's trying to throw off that glitch nade. Both heavies have now used their dome shields and RPGs, and look at Nagos. He actually has all of his gadgets used. Durrani, unfortunately, is going to take himself out with that RPG trying to hit Nagos there, but he is immediately going to get defibbed up by Kireki, and Kireki's going to come in to help save the day with that Revo, and Treason is left alone, trying to do as much damage as he can with that LH1.
He's in very low HP, gotta make sure that he doesn't get a wipe, or maybe just wipe up. Ooh, never mind. He's gonna find himself the first pick. Does quite a lot of damage even to Kireki. He may be able to find a second one, but Roma will just shut him down right on time before he got dangerous. Carnifex will get his teammate back up on the feet, and now they can get himself a quick little bit of a reset. The cash out yet to be plugged. Both teams are fully resetted now. Very good to go back to a bit of a fight, and the cash out also very close to be plugged right here. Again, 5FaZe, they still need to close a bit of a distance. Easy to do with their two lights and the gateway. But as we can see, Random Tongue still holding on to that plug. They don't want to fully commit yet. They want to make sure maybe that there is a wipe before plugging it. It will give them a lot more greater advantages.
Yeah, I completely agree. And look at this little barricade mantle up. Unfortunately, not able to hit that next mantle as he ends up falling down there. But he's just going to opt to go down anyways. He's going to pick that barricade right back up. As now maybe a plug is going to end up going through, but here comes a sonar nade. It's going to turn and get shot out by Carnifex there. They learned not to melee it anymore. But here comes the big winches coming through. Nagos ends up going down. And so Durrani actually doesn't. I thought he was so low. Yes, he ends up not going down. Kireki is going to go ahead and heal him up. Now he's going to get shot at by Treason there. Treason is going to get that pick, but Durrani and Roma are very healthy coming into this. They're going to go ahead and get that plug. Treason is just rezzing right under their nose, but it's not going to be enough. Roma sniffs him out at the last second and is going to delay those death timers, and Random Tongues looking pretty strong on this first box plug.
Very much, and exactly that what we were talking about, right? They waited to just be on top of 5-phase to have the advantage, then going to plug, because it gives them a lot more time, right? Look at this, how much time has already been wasted by just waiting for 5-phase to come back into the game. Now they're gonna have to make their way to the cash out, plan a few things, and it might just be one or maybe, like, if it comes good, 2 attacks that they wipe quite quickly. So it is like a really bit of a tough take here for the side of 5-phase, considering how much control Random Tanks right now have over the cash out and overseeing so much of their surroundings. Look at the view that they have. Look at the information they're gathering. They see the 2 players from the side of 5-phase on one side, and I mean Treason back on the distance. Oh, nice shot, but it is the execute coming in. Beautiful gateway, completely distracted by Treason on the other side. They're gonna find themselves the first kill, the second one to follow. Roma, as the last man standing, will be wiped as well. What a play. They can go for the steal as well, and that basically means Random Tanks, they have no second chance on this one. The first one is going to 5-phase.
Yeah, it is definitely going to 5-phase. Random Tongues, they might end up maybe doing a Hail Mary play at the end of this, but it might be more beneficial for them just to kind of get a spot on the middle of the map there to kind of pre-position for that next vault opening. But we'll see what they end up doing here. They do have a pad gateway available. They don't have that dash available to kind of get them closer. But it looks like they are just going to go through with that middle of the map play and kind of pre-position themselves for that next vault opening up, which I do agree with that. I think it's kind of the safer play here, because if they were to kind of Hail Mary that, it's such a high-risk, high-reward play. There's not a lot of time left on that box. Yes, they probably could have gotten in time to stuck it, but there's so much damage that could have been done, and if they wipe there, then that really gives 5-phase an opening to really just dictate where they want that box to go. So, all in all, I think good heads-up play by Random Tongues to just go for that, and they ended up getting that tap as well, kind of beat 5-phase over there. Now they're going to have to try to move it with 5-phase having that upper hand, being able to kind of dictate where they go with it, Diana.
Again, going and bringing it to C would have been an A is probably the best play. But unfortunately, if they lose control over it, it's going to be a tough thing to retake. Again, considering all the utility that they have. 5-phase already making their way towards the cash out number C. Even B is right around the corner. So again, not a great start when it comes to the cash out placements for the side of Random Tongues. Especially their utility and what they have. They would really need a cash out inside of a building. Again, B would be exactly that, but with the distance from up above, may make a few things more difficult. They're still fighting to even make their way across here, as they're all still standing on the building. Look at them. Just overseeing, trying to land a few shots, but 5-phase not giving them a singular inch here.
Yeah, and the unfortunate part about where B is, too, is it's kind of in line with where C is on that suspended structure as well, too. So yeah. 5-phase can kind of sit up there on C and stop them from plugging in that box, but they can kind of oversee B as well from that same spot. And Durrani is going to go ahead and shoot that red barrel balloon and just start chucking red barrels as fast as he can over there, trying to drop as much of that suspended structure as he can. And I think that's what Random Tongues have to do. I think they have to just keep working their way around and using some of the map to their advantage. But they're going to go ahead and try for a play here. They're going to gateway on top. Durrani, unfortunately, not able to make it all the way up there. The big BFR shot to get some damage into Nagos, but he's immediately going to get healed up by his lights there. And now,
luckily,
Random Tongues, they're just kind of right back to where they were, Diana.
Absolutely. Luckily, though, they got a little bit more space right here. You see how they've taken the control below the objective? That is something they're going to be in. They are in the favoritism here a little bit, because yes, 5-phase, they're good at the distances, but the second you see 2 lights dropping from up above, you're going to have a easier time killing the lights while they're on free fall than any other moment. But they've made themselves back up to the roof for the gateway, and look at that huge damage coming through. Now being taken out immediately. There's only 2 more players standing. Make it 1 all up to Roman. Even he's gonna be wiped. Card effects. Going absolutely huge with a double there. Unfortunately, that just wasn't the right play in that moment. But they took the chance because they saw 1 player from 5-phase move to cash out number B. And right now, 5-phase, they have the control over the entirety of the map.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nagos, I mean, he just doesn't miss with those winches. Just always hitting the most important winches, especially being able to pull Durrani up out of position there onto that high ground. And now it's going to be Random Tongues again trying to fight their way up onto the suspended structure here, which is such a tough spot to fight. And, you know, some part of you probably wants to be able to bring the suspended structure down, but you got to be able to use that environment and find red barrels. You don't want to waste that RPG, especially since it's going to take more than one to even be able to bring that side of that structure down. So we're just going to go ahead and gateway a little bit closer, trying to close that gap just a little bit. Going to be right below them here. And then maybe, because we've got that medium on our side, we're going to go ahead and jump pad up. We are going to make it over here to the box, but they know that 5 Fears is right above them. So maybe we'll see a little bit of a bait play go through, possibly, Dianic.
Definitely one of the plays. But Random Tanks got themselves in a good position. That is what matters right now. 5 Fears, they're going to have to be really focusing them onto right above them. Or even having this moment, but Dread, this is not looking too good.
Oh! Yeah, and Kareki is actually going to get winched off of that steal. And now Nagos is going to jump in there. He doesn't miss, and he actually lands that winch, but he's going to get turned on. And that's going to be it. 5 Fears taking that fight. Random Tongues. It's going to be a really close one again. They're going to have to absolutely Hail Mary this, Dianic.
I'm not gonna lie, Dread, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even think they're gonna have a chance. It's 10 seconds till they spawn in, and that point is gonna be a no return for the cash out. 5 Fears, you said it. They made it. They got themselves the second map, and they wiped just perfectly on time. Of course, they're still setting up. They're back into the game. They're gonna have to deep dive this, and we all know it's not gonna be happening if you're fighting against a player like Carnifex, Treason, and Nagos.
Yeah, exactly. And here comes the winch to move it over again in the dome shield going out because they know that that is it. Treason, Carnifex, Nagos, 5 Fears taking the win and taking Cycle 2.
They are the winning team as they stand this time, made the redemption. Dread all the way last circle to the second place to be taken up by Tycho, a team who plays heavy, medium, and a light. Back again in the final, and this time they're not gonna let themselves be put down below. It's gonna be their redemption, proven why they're the better team against Random Tongues. Even though they had a few struggles, they made it work. And with that, they claim place number 1 in the leaderboard.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you were talking about, 5 Fears had a very rocky road coming through this, but able to take it all and win Cycle 2. Random Tongues, kind of a new name coming through, kind of the underdogs coming through, and like Jerry has been pointing out so much, Kireki being a sub coming in through it and absolutely going crazy and them taking that second place spot. Jerry, how we feeling? CNS might have stolen Jerry's mic as well.
Yeah, someone did. Just quickly whip this off. God, that sticks. That really sticks. Anyway, this is how things start. All of those teams in the lower bracket feeding their way gradually back into these upper brackets.
The upper bracket fights, I think it just got even more.
Began with the single cash out game, Boba Slurpers and the Special Force, unfortunately not making it through, and then 5 Fears just sweeping it up. I question it. Either way, let's get back on track. Top 8. This is what we have today. So this was the Cycle 2 top 8 leaderboard. Everyone to do this and see exactly what it all means. So these are the combined series points from both Cycle 1 and Cycle 2. And a reminder that if you finish first place after 4 cycles, then you guarantee yourself a spot in the Grand Major. You don't have to go through the open quals or the closed quals at all.